What you just saw is a teaser glimpse of my new 3D printer farm. Arguably the single biggest project I've undertaken on this channel to date, and the ushering in of a new era on MandicReally. So I really hope you'll stick around through this video to see how it comes together and the final results in a little more focus. Let's get to building it. Stepping into this new space, I've got big ideas and a bit of chaos on the mind. But like any good starbase or mad scientist laboratory, we've got to get our tools in order so we can build the base itself and our robot minions. I want to welcome you folks to Mandic Labs 2.0. The question has come up, so let's address it. Why do I, a 3D printing enthusiast who has a bunch of machines, need even more machines in a dedicated print farm? Enthusiast, that is the important word here. Anybody who's into anything, cars, computers, 3D printers, you know when you start tweaking and tuning on them, the first thing that goes is reliability. Sure, you can get things reliable, but it's a process. And this is my job. I make projects and videos for a living. I need tools I can rely on. But there's another point to be made here. My friend Taylor, the Canuck creator, has a saying. What's the fastest 3D printer? More 3D printers. Having more machines means I can print more parts at once and get things done. Currently, I am always behind my deadlines and I need to fix that. Things have to get done faster around here. So I need to make a change. The form of that change is this pretty pile of Prusa printers. Thanks to the folks at Prusa Research, sponsor of this video, and Mandic Labs on the whole, we have a new fleet of Prusa Core One 3D printers to deploy in our engineering lab and be the heart of this new studio. I want to dive right into building this print farm, but I do need to say thank you to Prusa Research, PCBWay, Multiboard for joining up to help make this space a reality. It is so greatly appreciated. We'll discuss more of that as we get through this video. Let's get to grinding, cutting, and building a custom 3D print farm. To start this space off on the right foot, I pretty quickly realized that the off-the-shelf shelving options that I've used in the last couple of studios weren't going to cut it here. We're going custom built for our Prusa Core One print farm. It's going to be big, it's going to be heavy, it's going to be overkill, and not cheap. Did I mention thank you to everybody who's been supporting this new endeavor? Yeah. Here's the concept that I designed up in Autodesk Fusion. The idea is a leaning bookshelf type design. So it's going to be sleek and elegant, but still plenty stout, as the main frame is going to be constructed of 2" by 3" steel tubing, and the rest of it will be 1x2 and 1" square stock. All of that is going to be supporting 9 3D printers in total. Each shelf will have RGB backlighting, LED front lighting, so the whole thing should look really nice in the studio. It's also going to have wired network connections for all of the machines because I want to reduce the Wi-Fi congestion in this new space. And there's going to be 3 UPS battery backups so that it'll be reliable for projects and I don't have to worry about brownouts and power outages causing print failures. Is this maybe a bit much? Sure, but this is a YouTube studio. What else am I supposed to do? We got a lot of cutting, grinding, welding to do, so let's get to it. Now this project's gonna have me doing stuff that I haven't really done on this channel in the past. Metal fabrication used to be my career. It's what I did every day for years, so bringing it to MandicReally is an interesting full circle thing. For a long time, I purposely kept metalworking off of this channel. I felt like it wasn't very approachable for a lot of folks, and I want MandicReally to be inspirational as well as fun to watch. But I recently realized that I watch plenty of woodworkers or console modders doing things that I have no intention of doing, but that still inspires me. So that got my gears turning. I think it's time I start to include more of my skills in all of my videos and let you folks take inspiration where you may. So if you're along for the ride with that, please let me know in the comments. For now, I'm going to include some metalworking tips while we go through this video, such as clean your materials. This might seem obvious, but a lot of people skip it, so it bears repeating. Always clean your material. Most steel comes coated in oil or grime from the mill, and wiping it down makes everything easier. Your tools and yourself stay cleaner, your markings go on smoother, and if you're welding, this is absolutely critical to getting a good weld. To achieve the laid-back leg design of a leaning bookshelf, I landed on needing to cut this tube at a 50-degree angle. Now, I don't currently have a metal cutting chop saw at all, and few of them go to that steep of an angle, so what I'm doing is scoring the line with a thin cutoff wheel, and I'm going to come with my portable bandsaw and finish the cut with that. The other end of a leg needs to be cut at a 10-degree angle so it can be capped off and have a foot threaded into it. That said, I need to weld that part on. And I didn't have a TIG welder coming into this project. I'd gotten rid of my last one. I picked up this 250 amp AC/DC machine off of Amazon for less than $400. And honestly, it feels like a $400 build quality, but the welds lay down beautifully. I'm going to include a link in the description because it honestly impressed me. I hadn't TIG welded for close to 2 years before going into this project, and my last red label machine had problems and cost so much more than this one. I'm happier with this one after this project. To complete the primary structure of the leg sides, I'm taking the 2x3 that we just welded together, and I'm going to add a piece of 1x2 to the back edge of it that'll hang straight down. This will catch the back side of the shelves, so they're supported in the front and the back. The shelves themselves will sit on these pieces of angle iron. Brackets I am going to make special for this project are the ones that are going to mount the legs to the wall. I need to obviously secure it in place. I don't want to just lean it up against a wall and call it done. I got these 3/16 plates with 2 holes cut in each of them that are welded to the tops back of the legs. This is going to give us 2 mounting points per leg to secure it both against the wall and from pivoting. The eagle-eyed among you may realize that the holes that I cut into the bracket are fairly large. They're 1.25" diameter holes. I'm not going to use 1.25" bolts. The reason they're so big is because I designed some 3D printable bushings to go in them. I'm taking advantage of the Prusa Core One's extruder and its amazing ability to print flexible materials. It is a beast with TPU, so I printed up some custom TPU bushings. They will mount this securely to the wall, but vibration damp it away from the concrete. The 2-piece design is meant to sandwich the plate. They slip together and fit beautifully. With the legs done, it's time for the shelves. These are super straightforward in construction. They're 1" by 2" rectangular tube in the front and back, and 1x1 tube on each end to rest on the angle profiles. I'm checking these for square continually while I'm tacking them, welding them, and using a ratchet strap to help pull them into shape. That is a fabricator's best friend quite often. I want to check them over and over again because they will move while being welded. A piece of 1" by 1" steel goes in the middle, spanning the width of the entire shelf to help support the plywood in the middle but not obstruct the lighting. Then I rinse and repeat 3 times. Originally, I had every intention of making these shelves bolt in. In the end, I decided to weld them in primarily as a time savings thing. This project has taken so much longer than I anticipated. Between my ADD time blindness and my rustiness as a fabricator, it's just been a really long project and I had to move forward. Hopefully this might make the whole structure a little more rigid, but that's definitely an afterthought. Okay, so I finished welding the shelves onto this thing, so now it's really solid. But that made my life easy in some ways and more difficult in one really big way. I was planning to disassemble the whole thing piece by piece and then paint it all off the wall and then put it back up. Now I either have to pull it down by myself. It is currently 12:42 p.m. on a Sunday night. Right now, so I can get it primered so I can paint it tomorrow, or I have to paint it in place, which I'm definitely not going to be able to get as good of a job on it as I would like if I do that. I should be able to take this down on my own. I'm going to set up the camera and get this on tape in case it goes badly, because, you know, YouTube life. Hey, that wasn't so bad. While the most thrilling part of the build goes down, painting, I need to stop and thank some folks. Losing my last studio was a serious hit to my business and honestly to my mental health. Packing up and moving so suddenly was rough, and in the middle of all that, I had to say goodbye to my best friend of 13 years, Domino. The love and support from this community has meant the world to me and my family, but more than anything, I need to thank Patreon supporters and YouTube members. You're not just backing videos, you're helping me rebuild a life and a space to create again. From the bottom of my heart, thank you. If you're not already a backer, and if you can justify it, please consider becoming a supporter today. It really does help out. Alright, back to watching paint and possibly a few tears dry. Before we can put this all together, we have to let things dry. So in that time, we're going to design some 3D printed parts for our 3D printer farm. I got a couple of things I need to add on to this to actually make it what I want it to be and not just 3D printers sitting on shelves, so let's get to that. Now, obviously we're gonna have 3D printers on the farm shelves. That's a given. We're also gonna have LEDs, as I mentioned earlier, which means I need power for those LEDs. We're gonna have a white LED strip at the front edge of every shelf, and that'll need a 24 volt power supply. I'm gonna use this one from a Voron 3D printer, but I have left over. For the RGB LEDs that'll be at the back of the shelves, we're gonna need 5 volt power and a controller unit. We'll get to the controller unit in a moment. I want this to be a clean setup, so what I've landed on is hiding the whole thing underneath one of the shelves. This is one of the times where having a 3D model of the entire design is so handy. I landed on putting this underneath the second shelf so it's easily accessible but should still be hidden and be below head height so you really won't be peeking under there and seeing it much. Our 24 volt power supply has 2 mounting flanges, and then there's one big strap that goes over and holds both it and the 5 volt power supply firmly against the bottom of the shelf. And it's as simple as sending the parts to print. I'm printing the strap mount in black Prusa Mint ASA on the Prusa Core One. ASA will work out really well for something like this as it won't sag over time and won't have to worry about the heat of the power supplies. Neither one has a fan. I want this to be quiet. Then I'm using orange Prusa Mint ASA on the Prusa XL to print the strap mounts for the larger 24 volt power supply. A short time later, we have 3D prints in hand, but we need a shelf to mount them to. And that thing's still laying down after being painted, so let's go stand it up. This is a serious chunk of steel, but in the end, the lever of lifting it with the feet down, it's really not that bad. Balancing it on the creeper, on the other hand, was a little hairy, but that creeper is definitely star of the show here. I realized I've owned that for 20 years now. To mount it to the wall, we're going through those TPU printed bushings with 4-inch tapcons directly into concrete, 2 on each side. As far as power distribution per shelf is concerned, I got some of these little power strips that I'm hoping will be okay. They've got mounting flanges, though I'm gonna be lazy. They fit perfectly behind the 2-inch uprights here. I'm gonna VHB tape them on. And that joist is setting a theme for the rest of this build. The channel for the white LEDs that's gonna go at the front, I'm VHBing that on as well. These things just never have enough meat on them to be screwed in anyway, so I think VHB is gonna be the way. I considered bolting down the shelves. That was my original intention, try to add a little more rigidity to things, but in the end, I'm VHBing those down as well. There is a legitimate reason for this. Cutting right to the heart of it, if you ever use VHB, it's a little bit squishy. And when you're talking about this big shelving unit with wood sitting on top of metal, it's gonna act as a vibration isolator. It's not fighting gravity, the wood is sitting on top of the shelf, it's going to stay in place. And this could prevent noises and squeaks and rattles. So we're talking about 9 modern, fast 3D printers on this thing. And I think VHB actually makes a lot of sense and has the added side benefit of being so much faster to get this done. Of course, I installed the shelves, then realized I didn't have a clean way to route the power cables. So punch a couple holes in and use that wonderful extruder in the Core One to print some beautifully flexible TPU to make my own custom grommets to clean up those holes and make them so they're not going to chafe wires down the road. Now it's time to move on to the wiring fun. There's not going to be a lot I can show you with this because I'm going to have to lay on my back, stick it up to the underside, and then screw it up in there to mount everything. It's not easy to film this. Nori's being an excellent assistant when it comes to wiring up these things. Power is obviously only a portion of the circuit, so I added a pair of dimmers. The reason there are 2 dimmers and 2 circuits is because each of the shelves has an LED strip behind this front bar at an angle shining on the front side of the machines and the shelves. There's also a strip underneath the bottom here, which is only about 5-6 inches off the concrete floor. Let there be light. Now, this is 100% brightness on all 4 LED strips. And honestly, looking at it with the studio light now, I've only done this with all the lights off. 100% brightness probably looks like it's going to be fine for the shelves themselves. But the bottom, I think, is too bright. So that I can adjust with this dimmer. Yeah, I think I'm probably down at I'm at like 50% brightness on that bottom one now, and it's a lot closer to the other ones, which means now it's time for some fun stuff. I've almost got the RGB done, so let's finish it up so we can get that whole print farm out of those boxes and set up on these shelves. It's no secret that I love me some good RGB. If this print farm doesn't end up looking like the engineering department of a Galaxy-class starship threw up on it, I don't even know what I'm doing with my life. To achieve that, we need a good controller, and that's where this little board from our other studio sponsor, PCBWay, comes in. That said, we're going to get into these boards way deeper in upcoming videos when we really deck out this studio. For now, you just need to know it's called YAWL, short for yet another WLED controller. It runs the open source WLED firmware for controlling RGB. It can supply power to strips, but I'm only using it for data as I'm individually powering each of my strips. The reason that I'm powering directly to my strips is, well, this is totaled up to 638 LEDs. So at 5 volts, that's almost 35 amps of potential power draw in this setup here. I only got a 30 amp power supply. Somewhere in there, my napkin math got screwed up. So I can't go as bright as these actually could go. That said, I think I'm pretty happy with this. Not the color combination, and I honestly was hoping for a little more spill between the shelves. But once it's all uniform color choices, it could be better. We shall see once we get the print farm finally set up. So let's do that. Let's get these printers out of the boxes. I've been waiting on this for weeks. Seeing the lights come on in the dark and this whole thing just come together, it just has me raring to dive in, get to prototyping parts and producing projects, and just take the next steps in Mandic Labs 2.0 with this key tool at my disposal. Of course, I'm sure plenty of you are wondering, what's it like when they're actually printing? There are only 2 machines not running right now. This Core One and that Mark IV in the enclosure down there. Everything else is actively printing a Speedboat Benchy Rules edition. So pretty quickly printing. And I don't think it's that loud. It's surprisingly stable. The TPU bushings at the top, the rubber feet on the bottom, and the mass of this thing, it feels so solid. Yeah, there's vibrations, but not that much. The worst shake I have is this middle machine up here. And it's more so that it's shaking on its rubber feet, not so much that anything else seems to be moving, giving, or anything like that. So I'm not too worried about that. And there's room enough that I could fit pavers underneath of these if I felt the need. You know, when you daydream every day, all the time, even as you're falling asleep, about things you want to build and projects you want to construct, it's hard for any of them to ever live up to your expectations or your hopes. This one isn't perfect, but I am thrilled with how it turned out. I don't know that I could have expected much more. That said, there are definitely things I would do differently if I was to approach this project again. I filmed a short video breaking down my thoughts on how to approach this a little bit better the next time around. If you're interested in that, you can check it out over on my Patreon right now. I'm not sure if you noticed, but there's a bit of an elephant in the room down here. This Prusa Mark IV's in the enclosure is going to be upgraded to a Core One. I just don't have an upgrade kit yet. The enclosure fits on the shelf, fits in the space, and is still perfectly usable and good system. I just want it to be uniform with the rest of the machines. Having 9 Core Ones surrounding the One Mark IV's, I'm really looking forward to that really clean look once I get the upgrade kit for this. A question I expect to get in the comments, and I just want to get it out of the way. Why the Core One? Well, the obvious answer is Prusa sponsored this video. They're sponsoring the studio. They sent the machines. But I asked them to. I reached out to them because I really have been enjoying their machines. The Mark IV's, the XL, I've been using them a lot in projects over the last year or so. And then the Core One launched. And this machine, that one right there, has become my most used 3D printer in the studio by a long shot. So it just made sense to multiply it for my needs. It's fast. It produces good print quality. It has a pretty small internal volume for the size of the machine, so the chamber heats up quickly. And I really like to print ASA, so that matters to me. And then print profiles. Hey, other printer companies, free advice. Come on in, let's have a heart to heart. Download Prusa Slicer, load up the presets for a Core One, and just take a look at them. And then please, feel bad about yourselves. They have 10 different nozzle size profiles. Each one has different layer heights. 0.4 millimeter nozzle, high flow or regular. There are multiple 0.2 millimeter layer height profiles, speed or structural. You have options. So many machines have good hardware, but they ship with a poorly tuned 0.2 millimeter profile, and that's all you get. And it's up to the community to do anything beyond that. Prusa actually supports the hardware with software that makes the machine work well. And I don't understand why so many other companies are completely dropping the ball on this. Rant over. Ugh. That, folks, is my Core One print farm, my Prusa print farm, and this is Mandic Labs 2.0. This video took a lot longer to produce than I hoped it would, so I hope that's not setting a precedent, but I sure am hoping that this is just a taste of the bigger and better projects coming to this channel with this new space. So I hope you found this interesting. Let me know if you found the metalworking or any part of this something you'd like to see more of in future videos. And what would you do differently if this was your print farm? Love to hear it. Let me know in the comments. Drop the video a like if you found it interesting, and be sure to get subscribed to ensure your 3D prints don't fail. It's not a guarantee, but it can't hurt. See you, folks.